In today's video, we will be going through 2011's horror thriller film You're Next. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment on what your favorite part was, and subscribe to our channel for more. This movie is a slasher film, a subgenre of horror involving a killer murdering a group of people, usually using bladed tools, so brace yourselves. The film opens with a couple, Talia and Eric, having intercourse. Afterward, Talia plays a music CD and walks around the house, not noticing that the motion sensor light outside had turned on while Eric takes a shower. After the shower, Eric finds "You're Next" written on the window in Talia's blood, whose body is lying on the ground. Eric freaks out and starts walking back when an attacker wearing a lamb mask attacks Eric and kills him with a machete. The movie then cuts to a man named Paul and his wife Aubrey driving to their vacation home in rural Missouri for a family reunion. The primary filming location was an antique home that had been empty for 12 years. Their home is next to Eric's home in the secluded countryside. Of course, vacationing in a house in an aloof village is a good idea. As they settle down in their home, they are joined by their sons Crispian and Drake and their girlfriend Erin and wife Kelly respectively. Crispian is a young, broke college professor while Erin is his former student. Crispian has a British accent. The next day, Erin offers to help Aubrey around the house, and Aubrey sends her to their neighbor Eric's home to get some milk. Erin rings Eric's doorbell but doesn't get any response. Inside, Eric is seen sitting on his sofa motionless on his couch as loud music plays. In the evening, Paul's younger children Felix and Amy and their partners Z and Tarek respectively arrive for the reunion. The family sits for dinner, but soon things begin to heat up after Drake makes some shady comments about Tarek, who is an indie director, and Crispian for dating his former student. Quick film trivia: the dinner conversations in the movie were improvised and based on real-life experiences the filmmakers had with family members. As the brothers argue, intrigued by something, Tarek goes over to the window in the room. Suddenly, a crossbow bolts through the window and hits Tarek in the head, instantly killing him. As he collapses on the ground, the family, preoccupied with their argument, finally takes notice and freaks out. Arrows kept being shot through the window, one of which severely wounds Drake. The family, terrorized, proceeds to call 911, but only to realize that all their cell phone reception has been jammed at once. Amy decides to run outside to look for help. Erin warns her against it, but she insists on going out. Felix and Paul open the door, and Amy runs outside at full speed, but just as she steps out the door, she runs into a garrote wire which slices her throat open and kills her. The family watches in horror. Erin swiftly runs upstairs and locks every window, door, and sends an emergency text to 911, hoping it would get through when her mobile gets a signal bar. Crispian is astonished to see her so proactive. FYI, Americans in distress can text 911 in case of emergency, but only in select locations throughout the US. Paul carries a frantically crying Aubrey upstairs to her room and returns downstairs to block all entrances. Yeah, Paul, leave your wife alone upstairs in a house seemingly full of assassins. A bereaved Aubrey continues to weep on her bed when an intruder wearing a fox mask appears from under her bed. The masked individual stabs Aubrey in the head with a machete. Hearing Aubrey's screams, Paul and others quickly run upstairs to find Aubrey dead and "You're Next" written with blood on the wall. Meanwhile, Erin is attacked by someone wearing a lamb mask while securing the kitchen window. However, Erin stabs the attacker's hand and fends him off. Kelly covers Aubrey's body and proceeds to leave when she hears the sound of the floorwood creaking. Scared, she nervously looks under the bed to find the fox mask killer. She freaks out and runs downstairs screaming. Drake tries to calm her down, but she runs out of the house. Drake proceeds to follow her, but soon collapses from his crossbow wound on the porch. Kelly reaches Eric's house and frantically bangs on his window, pleading with him to let her in. The lamb mask appears from behind and punches her into Eric's house through the window. Kelly crawls to Eric sitting on the sofa, only to realize that he has already been killed. The lamb mask slams her head on the glass table and then aims his axe at Kelly's head and drives it into the side of her head. After seeing Kelly not return, Crispian also decides to leave the house and look for help. Meanwhile, Erin hides a wounded Drake behind the curtains in the living room. She then gathers knives from the kitchen and proceeds to distribute the knives to everyone for self-defense when suddenly the tiger mask storms into the room through the window. Did you know Simon Barrett, the Tiger Mask Killer, is also the movie's screenwriter? The killer startles Erin and she falls to the ground, dropping all the knives on the floor. The killer slowly walks towards her with an axe as she watches in horror. He attempts to strike her with the axe, but she swiftly rolls away and kicks him in the crotch. Ouch! She then quickly picks up the meat tenderizer from the ground and starts beating him with it. Erin angrily crushes the mask killer's skull by repeatedly striking him with the kitchen tool as Felix and Z watch in simultaneous horror and astonishment. Meanwhile, Paul inspects the house upstairs with a knife. He soon finds sleeping bags and food wrappers in a room, indicating that the killers have been staying in the house for some time. Felix and Z go upstairs to Paul while Erin inspects the basement. Paul begins to explain to Felix and Z that their family is being targeted when suddenly Fox Mask appears from behind and slits Paul's throat with a machete. Paul, stunned, attempts to grab his son for support, but Felix scoffs in disgust and watches his father collapse and bleed to death. It turns out that Felix had hired the assassins to murder his family. Downstairs, the Lamb Mask Killer carefully enters the living room only to find Tiger Mask's corpse. Stunned by his death, Lamb Mask cries and flips the dinner table over in rage. Erin listens to the killer's movements closely from the basement. Drake gains consciousness and steps out. He runs into the enraged Lamb Mask Killer. The killer proceeds towards Drake with the axe, but Erin storms out of the basement and stabs the killer with a screwdriver. The killer quickly gathers himself and runs outside. Felix and Z run downstairs after hearing the commotion. They lie to Erin about Paul's murder and tell Erin that he is sleeping upstairs. Erin sends Felix and Drake into the basement to collect Paul's tools, while she and Z secure the entrance. Talk about letting the fox guard the henhouse. Erin sticks nails on thin wooden planks to be used as a nail trap by the house's entrances. She reveals that she lived in a survivalist compound. Erin's father was a bit paranoid and believed that the world would soon get overpopulated to the point that it would run out of resources. He taught Erin combat and survival skills before she moved to the United States with her mother when she was 15. She reveals that she hasn't even told her boyfriend Crispian about this aspect of her life yet. In the basement, Drake insists on going out to look for Kelly and Crispian. Felix tells him that Kelly is dead, and a shocked Drake breaks down and starts screaming at Felix. Frustrated, Felix wears a glove and stabs Drake with a screwdriver. A dying Drake looks at his brother in disbelief. Felix then picks other screwdrivers and stabs him to death. Erin soon runs out of nails for her traps and goes upstairs to look for more nails. After she leaves, Z unlocks the main door. Erin carefully walks upstairs with the meat tenderizer. She is stunned to find Paul's dead body. As she watches Paul's body in astonishment, Fox Mask appears behind her. He slowly approaches her, but Erin senses his presence. She unsuccessfully throws the meat tenderizer at him and jumps through the window to escape. Erin sustains a leg injury because of the fall. She then hides in the bush when she notices the blood-stained screwdriver with which she stabbed the Lamb Mask earlier. Scared, she looks around when the Lamb Mask Killer shoots a crossbow at her, but she swiftly dodges. She then runs into the home and hides behind the curtain. The Lamb Mask follows her into the home. He enters the house through the window and steps on Erin's nail trap and bellows in pain. It was about time he finally got some taste of his own medicine. Hearing the Lamb Mask scream, Felix, Z, and Fox Mask rush downstairs. Tensions rise between them as the Lamb Mask Killer is agitated because Erin killed his brother Tiger Mask and badly hurt him with the screwdriver and the nail trap. He threatens to kill Felix, but Felix offers to pay him more from the money he is set to receive from his inheritance to calm him down. Felix had planned this massacre to be the sole benefactor of the inheritance from his father. Erin, overhearing their conversation behind the curtains, blows her hiding spot when her cell phone suddenly beeps to indicate that her text to 911 has gone through. The Fox Mask approaches the curtain as Erin nervously stands. Just as he removes the curtains, Erin hits him on his throat and runs outside as he collapses on the ground, coughing. Erin jumps outside from the porch and enters the house through the window, while Fox Mask, Felix, and Z look for her outside. A wounded Lamb Mask follows the three outside slowly. Outside, he hears a noise coming from the window. He sticks his head inside the window to inspect, and Erin stabs him with a screwdriver and kills him. Realizing she cannot outrun Foxmask with a wounded leg, Erin quickly sets up an elaborate trap at the front door where an axe would fall and kill anyone who opens the door. She waits for him to fall into the trap, but the Foxmask, whose name is revealed to be Tom, enters through the window. Erin then quickly runs into the basement and turns off all the lights. She sets a camera on the table which takes pictures continuously. The camera's flash blinds Tom, and taking advantage of it, Erin appears and cracks his skull with a log, killing him. FYI, the majority of the film was shot with handheld cameras to increase tension. Z enters the home with a bow arrow while Felix goes to his car. He turns off the cell phone jammer and takes out a knife from his car. Erin easily subdues Z in the kitchen. As she beats and chokes Z, Felix arrives and stabs her in the shoulder with his knife. Enraged, Erin smashes a blender on Felix's head. After he collapses on the ground, she slams the blender's blades on his head. She connects the blender to the electric switch, brutally shredding the top of his head. Z attempts to get up, but Erin quickly pulls out Felix's knife from her shoulder and stabs Z's head, killing her. Although in the movie they're attacking each other, Sharni Vincent, Erin, and Wendy Glenn Z were actually roommates and best friends before and during filming. After taking out all the killers, Erin collapses on the ground and breathes a sigh of relief. Just as she begins to collect herself, Felix's phone begins to ring. Erin answers his phone without speaking. Believing he is talking to Felix, Crispian reveals his involvement in the scheme. He apologizes to Felix for not helping him kill their family members, explaining that he is a pacifist. Yeah, nothing screams pacifist like slaughtering your parents and siblings for inheritance. Crispian enters the house through the window looking for Felix when he is stunned to see Erin standing behind him alive with a knife. Erin expresses disbelief and shock over Crispian's involvement in the massacre that possibly could have killed her. Crispian explains that she was never supposed to be targeted. She was only meant to be a witness to the massacre. Yeah, right, a witness with just an axe through her head. Although Felix and Z end up getting killed, he expresses happiness over the fact that he will now be the sole benefactor of his father's inheritance. He tells her that with the inheritance, she can pay her student loans and quit her bartending job and study full-time. Disgusted by her boyfriend's greed, Erin kills him by stabbing him in the neck and eye. A police officer watches it transpire through the window and shoots Erin in the shoulder. After calling for backup, he attempts to enter the house. Erin gets up after a lot of struggle and tries to warn the officer not to enter through the main door, but he unfortunately falls victim to her front door trap. The axe falls, hitting him in the head, and the movie cuts to a blood-splattered "You're next." Thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel to see more of these movie summaries.